to all. A pleasant good afternoon to who are watching TSAT channel live program. Firstly, I want to introduce myself. In front of you, it's me, Lahari, pursuing first BPC from TTW URJC COE Girls Devarkonda. Before going to the topic, I want to give some basic information about my topic. Around us, there are lots of plants and trees in our surrounding. Have you ever seen plants? Yes. So, based on plants, I want to ask a few questions to you. Which is the most attractive part of a plant? Yes, flower. Flower is the most attractive part of a plant. From the plant, which part can we take as food? Yes, fruit. Dear friends, in our daily life, we are eating different kinds of fruits. Yes or no? Yes. Then how can the fruit get formed? Yes, by the fertilization. What is mean by fertilization? Fusion of both male and female gametes. But the both gametes are non-motile. They cannot move. Then how can the fertilization will occur there? Yes, by the pollination. Already you have got an idea what is my topic. Exactly, pollination. But before going to the topic, let us tell you my objects, what I am going to tell you in my presentation. Let us take a glance of object. So, in this session, we will going to learn about what is pollination, types of pollination, advantages of pollination, disadvantages of pollination, and finally agents of pollination. So these are now we are going to learn in this session. Now get back into the topic. Friends, today I am very excited to deal this topic. I hope you guys also very excited to learn. Am I right? Yes. So friends, my small and a simple interesting topic is pollination. What is pollination? Yes, the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. It is called pollination. So, look at the picture. The transfer of pollen grains. From anther to the stigma. It is called pollination. But do you know what is anther and what is stigma? So, look at here. So friends, look at here. These are the anthers and this is the stigma. You may have also show another flower, that is hibiscus. This is the stigma and these are the anther. I hope you guys can have an idea about this flower. So friends, inside the bilobed anther, the pollen grains are present. When the anther will be burst, the pollen grains release and reach to the stigma. Did you know? Stigma is a very sticky part. Just to stick the pollen grains on it. So, pollination enhances the reproduction. And pollination brings both male and female gametes together. Based on the source of pollen grains, in chasmogamous flowers have three types of pollinations. They are the first one, self-pollination. Self-pollination is also known as autogamy. And the second one, geitonogamy. And the third one, xenogamy. So friends, let us see what is self-pollination. So, look at this picture. The transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the same flower of the same plant, it is called self-pollination. And self-pollination shows some special characters. They are self-pollination only occurs in a single flower of the same plant, and self-pollination occurs only in bisexual flowers. Do you know what is mean by bisexual? Yes, a flower which contains both stamens and pistil, it is called bisexual. And in self-pollination, the anthers and the carpel are synchronized at the same time. Synchronized means mature. Why? In self-pollination, the anther and the stigma are mature at the same time. Because if when they are mature at the same time, then only the pollination will occur there. That's why they are mature at the same time. And also in self-pollination, the anther and the stigma should be lie to close each other. So let us see the advantages of self-pollination. There is no diversity of genes and they maintain a purity of characters. It helps in the formation of true breeds. Recessive characters traits start to appear. So these are the advantages of self-pollination. Let us move on to the disadvantages of self-pollination. In self-pollination, they do not bring genetically variables to the pollen grains. Friends, in self-pollination, why they do not bring genetically variables to the pollen grains? Because self-pollination occurs in a single flower of the same plant. That's why it do not bring genetically variables to the pollen grains. And another disadvantages of self-pollination is there is no new character formation. And also another disadvantages in self-pollination is there is no adaptability. So friends, this is about self-pollination. Let us move on to the second one, that is geitonogamy. Look at this picture. The transfer of pollen grains of one flower to the stigma of another flower, it is called geitonogamy. Geitonogamy shows some special characters. It occurs in two different flowers of the same plant. And geitonogamy occurs in monoecious plants of unisexual flowers. For example, maize. And geitonogamy is functionally cross-pollination, but it is genetically self-pollination. Friends, why geitonogamy is genetically self-pollination and why it is functionally cross-pollination? Let us see. Have a look on the slide. Geitonogamy occurs in two different flowers of the same plant. Different flowers means it is functionally cross-pollination, but it occurs in different flowers of the same plant. That's why it is genetically self-pollination. So friends, this is about geitonogamy. Let us move on to the third one, that is xenogamy. The transfer of pollen grains of one flower of one plant to the stigma of flower of another plant, that is called xenogamy. Xenogamy shows some special characters. Xenogamy occurs in two different plants of same species, and xenogamy is also known as allogamy. Allo means other. Let us see the advantages of xenogamy. It brings genetically variables to the pollen. Why? In xenogamy, it brings genetically variables to the pollen. What happened in self-pollination and geitonogamy? Why they do not bring genetically variables to the pollen grains? Because self-pollination and geitonogamy, they occurs in the same flower of the same plant or different flowers of the same plant. The whole plant body is containing same genes. Then the flowers also containing same genes. That's why in self-pollination and geitonogamy, they do not bring genetically variables to the pollen grains. Why in xenogamy they bring genetically variables? Because xenogamy occurs in to different flowers of the different plants. Means this plant body containing one genes and this plant body containing another genes. So the both plant bodies are containing different types of genes. That's why they bring genetically variables to the pollen grains. And the another advantages of xenogamy is they increase in the formation of new characters and also increase in their adaptability. So friends, this is about advantages of xenogamy. Let us see the disadvantages of xenogamy. It does not ensure fertilization and it involves in some different external agents. Somehow, the absence of agents will be no pollination. Isn't true, friends? Yes, because xenogamy is depending on the agents of pollinator. Somehow, the absence of agents of pollinator, the pollination will not occur there. That's why somehow the absence of agents will be no pollination. So friends, this is about xenogamy. Friends, we are continuously saying that the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma, it is called pollination. But the pollen grains are non-motile. They cannot move. Then how can the pollination will occur there? Yes, with the help of agents of pollinators. What are the agents of pollinators? How they helps in the pollination? Let us see. Agents of pollination. The pollination by different types of agents. They are mainly two types, abiotic and biotic. Let us see what is abiotic pollination. The pollination occurs by air and wind and water. It is called abiotic pollination. In abiotic pollination, there are two types, anemophily and hydrophily. So let us see what is anemophily. Pollination which is by air or wind, it is called anemophily. What? Pollen grains can transfer through the wind? Isn't crazy, friends? Yes. And the flowers are also called as anemophilous flowers. Here having two different terminology, anemophily and anemophilous. But anemophily is a process and anemophilous is a flower. Adaptations for wind pollination. Wind pollinating flowers are having a long feathery stigma. Have you observed, friends, why they are having a long feathery stigma? Yes, when the flowers are having a long feathery stigma, they can easily trap the airborne pollen grains. And the pollen grains are also non-sticky and they are light-weighted. Why they are non-sticky? Because if in case they are sticky means they can easily attach to any walls or any plants. They can't reach to the stigma. That's why the pollen grains are non-sticky. Friends, in anemophily, if all the pollen grains can reach to the stigma? No, because many of the pollen grains can lost in their wind currents. Only a few pollen grains can reach to the stigma. For example, if 1,000 pollen grains can reach to the stigma means the anther can produce a lack of pollen grains. Wind plays a major role in abiotic pollination. The anemophilous flowers are having mostly unisexual. Do you know, friends, what is unisexual? Yes, a flower which possesses either stamen or pistil, it is called unisexual. And they contain a single ovule in each ovary. Have a look on slides, friends. So this is the anemophilous flower. These are the pollen grains. So see, the pollen grains are light weighted and they are weightless. So this is before pollination picture and this is after pollination picture. So this is about anemophily. Anemophily is mostly occurs in crop plants. Economically crop plants like wheat, maize, jowar, sugarcane and etc. This is about anemophily. Let us move on to the another pollination in abiotic, that is hydrophily. Hydrophily means pollination which takes place by water. It is called hydrophily. And the flowers are also called as hydrophilous flowers. Epihydrophily is found in 30 genera of aquatic monocots. Hydrophily is further divided into two types, epihydrophily and hypohydrophily. Let me explain you about the two types. Epihydrophily, pollination which occurs on the surface of water, it is called epihydrophily. The best example of epihydrophily is Vallisneria. Friends, why we are taking Vallisneria is the example of epihydrophily? Because in Vallisneria, the female flower reach the surface of the water and the male flowers producing pollen grains. So the pollen grains can easily float on the surface of water and they can reach to the stigma. So this is epihydrophily. Let us see what is hypohydrophily. Pollination which occurs inside the water, it is called hypohydrophily. And the best example of hypohydrophily is Zostera. Zostera is also known as seagrass. In Zostera, the female flowers remain submerged in the water and the male flowers producing pollen grains inside the water. Pollen grains, many such species are long ribbon-like. They can carry it passively inside the water and they can reach to the stigma. So friends, this is about hydrophily. So the most common factor in abiotic pollination is the flowers do not produce nectar and the flowers do not produce fragrance. Because friends, non-living things can have any sense organs? No. So they can't receive any nectar and they can't sense any fragrance. That's why the flowers are also do not produce nectar and do not produce fragrance. So friends, this is about abiotic pollination. Let us move on to the biotic pollination. Biotic pollination. We know that biotic means they are living organisms. Pollination which is by living organisms is called biotic pollination. Plants requires living organisms as agents for the pollination. It is called biotic pollination. Mostly the plants requires 80% of living things for the pollination. In biotic, there are different types of pollinations are there. So let us see. Zoophily, pollination which is by animals, it is called zoophily. And the flowers are also called as zoophilous flowers. In zoophily, the flowers produce a large number of nectars for the animals, which they can use it to drink it. And the flowers are also in a good fragrance. The flowers are in bright colors. So friends, this is about zoophily. Let us see entomophily. So look at here. Have a look on a slide, friends. So pollination which is by insects, it is called entomophily. The flowers are also called as entomophilous flowers. The most entomophily adaptations are, the most common pollinating insects are moths, bees, butterflies, dragonflies, and etc. In anemophily, the flowers producing a large number of sugary nectars to the birds, which they can use it to drink it. So friends, actually the insects are keen to drink the nectar. When they are receiving the nectar, that time they helps in the pollination. So have a look on the slide. The honeybee is taking nectar. When it is receiving the nectar, the pollen grains are attached to their legs. And the honeybees again transfer to another flower and receive the nectar. When it is receiving the nectar, that time the pollen grains are attached to the flower's stigma. Then these the honeybee helps in the pollination. Entomophily is mostly occurs in jasmine flowers and rose flowers. Friends, we all are daily seeing that rose flower. Yes or no? But do you know what is the lifespan of a rose? Yes, rose flower is an annual plant. So friends, in anemophily, the most pollination is achieved by the help of honeybees. So this is about entomophily. The another pollination in biotic is ornithophily. Pollination which is by animals, it is pollination which is by birds, it is called ornithophily. And the flowers are also called as ornithophilous flowers. Adaptations for ornithophily. The flowers are with a thicky, fleshy floral parts, and the flowers producing a large number of sugary nectars to the birds, which they can use it to drink it. Here friends, look at the picture. When the bird is receiving the nectar, that time the pollen grains are attached to their beaks. In ornithophily, the birds should be in small size and they are having long beaks. Those birds can able to do the pollination. And ornithophily, the flowers are lacking in fragrance because the birds are poor in sense of smell. Friends, ornithophily is mostly occurs in Bootea and Bombyx. The most common pollinating birds are crows, hummingbird, bulbul and sunbird. So friends, this is about ornithophily. And let us see the another type of pollination in biotic, that is chiropterophily. Pollination which is by friends, have a look on the slide. See the picture. Pollination which is by bats, it is called chiropterophily. And the flowers are also called as chiropterophilous flowers. Adaptations for chiropterophily. Bats can transport pollen grains over longer distance, sometimes several kilometers also. Friends, a bat can transport pollen grains up to 17 kilometers between the plants. Chiropterophilous flowers are dull in color with a strong fragrance. So friends, look at this diagram. In chiropterophily, the flowers are in dull color with a strong fragrance. So the bat is receiving the nectar. When it is receiving the nectar, the pollen grains are attached to their body. Then it helps in the pollination. So look at this. Chiropterophily is mostly occurs in Kigelia and Kadam tree and Adansonia. Sometimes, friends, therophily means sometimes pollination is also achieved by the large animals, it like squirrels, it is called therophily. Ophiophily, Sometimes pollination is also achieved by the reptiles like lizard, snake, garden lizard. It is called ophiophilia. So friends, this is about our topic pollination. Let us see what we have learnt. So in this session we have already learned that what is pollination, how the pollination will occur, types of pollination and their adaptations, how the agents are helps in the pollination, and finally uses of pollination. So friends, I am going to conclude that in our India mostly 90% of crops are depending on the pollination. Do you know what is most common predominating pollinator? Yes, honeybee. Honeybee is the most common predominating pollinator. But nowadays the honeybees are mostly reduced. So the crops are also not giving highly production. Do you know why the honeybees are reduced? Yes, due to pollution and radiation. So what can we have to do? Yes, we have to prevent pollution and we have to reduce the radiation. So then we can protect our agents of pollinators. Friends, without pollination we can't get any fruit or we can't get any crops. So without fruit, without crops, how can we live? That's why pollination is very necessary for us. So friends, at last I am very thankful to our dynamic secretary of TTW who gives a golden opportunity to me even in this pandemic period. And also I am very thankful to my beloved principal Srimati Uma Sujata madam, and also my mentor teacher Mr. Giri sir who supports me a lot, and also my staff and my friends who encourage me a lot. A special thanks to whole TSAT team and Telangana state government who gives a golden opportunity to prove myself in front of you people. Once again, thank you. Have a nice day.